Hello, everybody. I'm Soda.
And I'm KLMeri.
And today on the podcast, we have a very special episode all about the stupidest moments of the original series. Today, we are ranking our top 10 stupidest moments. Let me ask you, KLMeri, what is your definition of a stupid moment?
Okay. I have 5 definitions.
Okay.
You're going to love this. So I started thinking, okay, what makes a stupid moment? Or I put stupidity is ... I started listing out reasons why why a moment would be stupid. I had a lot of reasons. So I tried to condense them down to 5. And then I'll walk you through what those are in a minute. But what I did was I then listed the 5. I made like a chart. And I went through the episodes and started checking the boxes.
Okay.
Checking the 1 through 5. And that's what really helped me figure out who gets on my list. So.
Okay. I'm curious.
Okay.
Tell me.
Okay, so reason 1 is the writing is stupid.
Yeah.
So this means, like, I basically put the theme is dumb, either the solution or the resolution of the episode is dumb, or there's just one scene that is super dumb.
Yeah.
I don't really think I need to, like, tell you what dumb means. It's just, you just get that feeling. Okay, so the second reason is the character had a stupid moment.
Yeah. So far, I'm with you. These are the main 2 definitions of stupid I came up with. Either the writing is really stupid or the character is really stupid.
And then from there, I started thinking about, okay, when there's some episodes I watch that I have this visceral reaction every time, no matter how many times I see the episode. So my third reason is if I yelled no in either horror, aggravation, or secondhand embarrassment. So it's something that evokes a real, like, visceral reaction from me that every time I see it, it makes me cringe. Okay. The fourth is, and, you know, these I were kind of lenient with, is there's silly stupid. It's where the writer wants you to laugh, and you did.
Okay.
And then the last one is, this kind of goes into the first reason, but for me, it is probably a very egregious mistake. That's plot holes. Plot holes I pulled out separately because to me that if I think the writing is dumb for like a brief moment, but then it actually makes a plot hole, to me that is more egregious.
I see. Personally, I agree with your 2 first definition, but when it comes to cringe, I thought like, okay, cringe is something very subjective. It isn't always just because it's stupid. Sometimes it's cringe because it's awkward or something. So I tried not to put too much cringe into my list.
Yeah.
And the same thing about the humor. When something is stupid because it's supposed to be funny, then it's okay because it's supposed to be stupid.
Yeah.
That's not really what I'm looking for when I'm looking for stupid things. Like, that's why, like, well, I guess spoilers for the rest of the episode. I didn't put any part of like trouble with tribbles or piece of the action because they're stupid, but they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be funny, stupid.
So yeah, there's definitely funny, stupid, but my number 4 is more like, it's so funny, stupid that it really, like, they really shouldn't have done it. So when I said I had like basically 4 categories, and I just went through, I kind of analyzed the episodes, different parts of the episodes, and checked the boxes. It got to the point where my list was very long. Almost 20 episodes were on my list. And I thought, okay, let me take a step back. What is forgivable stupid?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how I cut down my list, because there are some moments in different episodes that, I personally, like, they are cringe-worthy or they are silly stupid, but they're forgivable. And so that's how I cut down to the top 10. These are more of the unforgivable stupid moments of the original series. And so I'm looking forward to hearing what yours were and sharing mine.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to start?
I tell you what, I want you to start because I'm just so curious about, what made it onto your list.
Okay, so let's start. Number 10. So number 10 is the kind of stupid that is, I included because you can't really look at it and not think this is stupid. But at the same time, it's my favorite episode. I'm talking about the fight with the Gorn in Arena. I mean, you can see them lifting up these huge, I don't know, paper rocks that are very obviously very light, and they overact how heavy they are, and the fight moves and everything about it. It's so dumb. You just look at it and you're like, this is stupid.
Oh gosh, it is so stupid, but you're right. I mean, I'm like you. I love that episode, and for me, that would be silly stupid, but the forgivable kind because it's
exactly. I think that's why it's my number 10 because it is, I think, forgivable because But the thing that makes it stupid to me is that it's not supposed to be funny. You're supposed to take it seriously. That's the kind of money and effects they had at the time.
That's such a good one. Okay. Number 10 on my list is The Way to Eden. For me, it sort of, to me, summarizes what happens in a lot of episodes, and that is the...
Oh, you put the entire episode?
No, just there's a moment in there where they're having the concert. Mm-hmm. Okay, so basically it's this, band of hippies who are taking a ride on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
They're trying to get to the promised land, whatever it is. Typical. They have talked their way into holding a concert on the Enterprise, and they have, several people are in attendance. Well, what happens next is someone essentially is not paying enough attention to what the hippies, who are pretty radical, are doing on the ship, and they manage to take over the ship. This happens a lot, Soda, in different episodes of the original series, right?
Yeah.
The ship gets taken over by invaders or, someone who's like the outright enemy. But I can't stand it when the security is so lax that they can just like randomly go take over the auxiliary control room of the ship. And there are a bunch of space hippies, and that's how you lose your ship, Kirk.
Yeah.
So it's the stupidest way for Kirk to lose control of his ship.
Yeah.
Across the board for me.
Yeah. I agree. He does happen to lose control a lot of the times.
He does, and usually it's because the enemy outsmarts him, but in this instance, it's like, to me, a lack of security. Yeah. Like, why is everybody at the conference listening to the music and, listening to them chant and do all this stuff, and then, anyway. I agree. Totally avoidable. I do not forgive you, Enterprise, for your lack of security. Do better. I'm very ashamed for you.
I agree. My number 9. Okay, this is another fight one. Now, a lot of the fights in the original series are stupid. Just the fight choreography is really, really bad. And I guess my bottom 2 are the fight scenes because, well, I get why they're so bad, but it's still like, what were you thinking? My second stupid moment is another very famous fight scene. This time it's from Journey to Babel. Kirk finds and corners the fake Andorian and takes him out by butting him with his butt. For lack of better terms. I'm just, what was that maneuver? What was going on? Who thought this was good?
I believe that's like the thing that spawned Kirk Fu.
Maybe it could be, but just like it literally just leapt on him behind first. I don't know how to describe it in nice language. Just knocked him out with his butt. That's what he did.
So when you were talking about the Gorn, fight, my mind immediately went to this episode and the Kirk Fu, and like you said, like jumping off the wall and like hitting him with his backside, the double fist punch. So I'm totally not surprised it's the next one on your list. I actually thought it might be for that reason.
Like I said, because I understand that they didn't really know how to do fight choreography well, and they didn't have a lot of budget, I can forgive this to some extent, but at the same time, you can't look at it and be like, yeah, that's okay. No, you just have to laugh. It's so stupid.
It is. It is so stupid. It is, for me, it's like a forgivable, silly, stupid. I mean, there's so many good memes because of that.
Exactly.
That and the Gorn fight. I love it. It is so stupid, but I love it.
Yeah.
The good one. That's a good one, Soda. Okay. So my number 9 is Who Mourns for Adonis. In particular, it's basically Carolyn, the love interest.
Yeah.
When I say, a character had a dumb moment, all her moments are dumb.
Harsh.
It's very harsh, but she beams down. The god sees her. He's like, oh, she's going to be my new female god, like my woman. And somehow immediately she's in love with him after he kidnaps her. There's not even time for Stockholm Syndrome to go on.
Yeah.
And then it comes to a point where she has to make a choice in order to save everyone, and she almost doesn't do her job. So the whole episode, every time I see it, is me yelling, do your job. What's going on? Why are you in love with this god? Can't you see what's happening? It kind of swayed into number 1, which is, why did they write her like that? And, we've had other episodes with other female characters in love with a megalomaniac, do stupid things, but to me, hers has the least motivation and the least rationalization for why she instantly fell in love with this god.
I see.
So, it's stupid.
It is. I mean, it is just a typical problem of the original series, right? It really is. The female character of the episode, because they always kind of change unless it's like, Janice Rand in the first season. It's mostly kind of interchangeable. The female character of the episode just kind of falls in love with the bad guy of the week for no reason. And, yeah.
I'm sorry, but when your captain's like, I need you to do your job, and she's like, I don't think I can.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
I completely understand.
How long have you guys been down there? Like 2 hours? Okay. I'm on. Well, let me calm down for a second.
Take your time.
All right, what's your number 8?
My number 8. Okay, my number 8 is also kind of an example, I think, of a very typical the original series problem. Like, well, we know a lot of things about Gene Roddenberry these days, and one of the things that is very, very clear is that he was very much pro free love, shall we say? Yeah. He liked to. I mean, he did make a show on public television in the 60s, so he was constrained, but he pushed his kind of like his thing wherever he could. And the scene I'm talking about is in the Apple in season 2, where they all gather in this village of people who live forever, and the most pressing problem on their mind is how do these people reproduce? And they have like an entire discussion about it, and it's like this has nothing to do with anything. We don't need to talk about it. You're just pushing it in because it's your agenda. And it's like, it's stupid. I'm sorry, but I always thought the scene was very, very stupid.
It so is. It's just uncomfortable, too.
Yeah,
like,
it
Spock's
is.
Standing right there.
And they actually kind of turn to Spock and like, Spock, please explain how people reproduce. Spock's like, yeah.
There is a lot of free love going on in TOS.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. That's a really good one, Soda. Okay, so my number 8 is... Okay, it's very relevant in this day and time, but even long before the pandemic, every time I see this particular scene, I scream at the television. Okay, it's the naked time, it's the opening scene. You have Spock and this lieutenant, like, Tourmaline or whatever his name is. They are in hazmat suits, okay? They are on this planet that is about to... They had an observation team down there, and they come to get the people off the planet because it's about to, whatever, implode, who knows. Everybody is frozen and dead. And they're in their suits. They're in their hazmat suits. Now, first off, I think we've talked about how terrible their hazmat suits are, or their spacesuits are in our fashion episode. But they're all just like shocked. Everybody looks like they died violently, or they just didn't care how they died. They just like got frozen. And Spock goes off to investigate something. Like, I can't remember the person in the shower. And the lieutenant he's with takes off his gloves and wipes his face and puts his hands on stuff, and that's how he brings the infectious disease back to the Enterprise.
Yeah.
And I'm a germaphobe, I will admit that.
No, I am completely with you there. This is such a rookie mistake. Like,
such a rookie mistake.
Who would do that?
I just, the entire episode, I'm like, it's this guy's fault. Yeet him back to the academy.
yeah, it's totally his fault. It's like he's the reason this entire thing happened.
I'm sorry, everybody.
This was so preventable.
Oh, so preventable. Literally. It's a murder mystery. Everybody's dead. You're not sure what, contaminants are there. And you take off your freaking hazmat suit. I'm just, no. And then I also want to question, why was there no decontamination?
Exactly. Also true. Also very, very true.
They probably wouldn't have helped him at that point, because I think it, like, gets through the pores, through the sweat or something. But, no, this is my literal number 3, like the top of my number 3, like the one thing in number 3 that I cannot stand. Okay.
Nice. Okay.
I'm having trauma going on just remembering this.
It's a really good one because it was so, like I said, it's so preventable. Like, the entire plot of the episode could have been avoided if just one guy didn't take off his gloves.
In a very iffy situation, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
On to number 7. My number 7. Okay, this one I admit, I think it was supposed to be funny. Like, but at the same time, well, I'll just say it. It's from A Private Little War. Spock went into his little coma, and then he, on the ship, McCoy and Kirk are on the planet, and on the ship, Dr. Mabenga tells Nurse Chapel, that he's like in this special Vulcan trance, and when he wakes up, she must do everything he asks of her. And then Spock begins to wake up, and what does he ask of her? He asks her to slap him until he wakes up. And then she starts slapping him, and then Scotty walks in for some reason and sees her slapping him and decides she doesn't know what she's doing and that she's gone crazy. So he drags her away, and then Dr. Mbega comes in and slaps Spock too. And the entire scene is just so ridiculous and stupid. And I think it was supposed to be funny, but at the same time, what were you doing there, Scotty? Why did you take away Chapel? Chapel, why didn't you just explain that Spock asked you to do it? Like, what is going on in the sickbay?
It's so true. And the funny thing is, the result of that scene is people now use that as, like, just another special thing about Vulcans. Oh, slap them if they go into a trance or a coma. Just bring them out of it. Give them a slap. So it's now, like, I say, as prominent in, like, fanon lore as, Vulcan super hearing or whatever. But you're right. The whole slapping, it's just funny. It's so stupid, but it's silly.
Yeah. So what's your number 7?
All right. How do I talk about this without getting worked up? Okay, my number 7, where the writing is so not just stupid, but almost offensive that I can't handle watching this episode all the way through. It's the Paradise Syndrome.
Oh yeah, it's in my top. Yeah.
I'll say probably what's most particular is the plot holes.
I can talk about the plot holes. Yeah.
Okay, first off, Kirk, he basically gets he falls into this special alien like thing, this rock, this whatever, and he gets trapped there, and they can't find him, so they have to leave him on the planet. No. First off, I want to know, like, he's underground, but it's not like he's in the middle of the like he's like deep in the Earth's core where you can't scan for him. So I'm guessing we're supposed to assume the alien technology prevents them from figuring out where he is on the planet. And also, just put a tracker on Kirk, for God's sakes. The whole idea that they have to leave him behind, and of course he's knocked his head, and so he doesn't remember who he is. Like, amnesia. Yeah. Amnesia is your whole crux of your story here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say much more about the Paradise Syndrome, because I want to hear what you have to say about it.
In a bit you will.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to put a pin in that and come back to the Paradise Syndrome, but it has problems, and they're stupid.
Yeah, I agree. It's very, very stupid. The entire episode is, it's like you said, it's offensively stupid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have more offensively stupid episodes on my list.
I'm sure. Yeah. Okay, on to number 6. My number 6 is also kind of a funny moment. But I think it's stupid because it's a Spock moment, and like, Spock, what were you thinking? And I'm talking about the moment of, in the episode By Any Other Name, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy and some random red shirt are stuck in a cave or whatever.
This. Go ahead.
Yeah. And of course, Spock needs to fake an illness so they can sneak up on the ship. So what does he do? He just kind of gets himself in this weird trance, and just like he's standing there one moment, and then the next he's just fucking falling over. He's just falling over. And like, what? Why? Why? What was the point of this?
Maybe he can't act, so he just needs to like literally be unconscious. I don't know. It's hilarious.
I mean, couldn't you just lay down before you became unconscious? Why did you think this was a good idea to do it when you were standing up? Like, aren't you a Vulcan? Shouldn't you be logical?
Well, I mean, at least you didn't point out like the mine stuff through the rock wall.
Well, yeah, I thought there are some episodes where there were like more than one moment,
Yeah.
like, which one do I think is more stupid? And I thought the Spock falling over was slightly more stupid.
That is a good one. But I see so many gifs of that. Like, everybody just loves to show that moment. Because it's so stupid, probably. Especially McCoy's face.
Because he's so surprised. I mean, the guy just, like, falls over.
Oh, gosh. I have 2 number 6s.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Because I couldn't decide between them, and I didn't think they deserved to be higher on the list. The first one is just the overall stupid episode, Spock's Brain. But in particular, it's so stupid that he loses his brain and they just turn him into... they just turn him into a mechanical, like, robot?
Listen, the reveal of this is my number 2. It's just...
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna leave that there because it's your number 2.
No, talk about it because it's your number 6. But it's my number 2 because there are very few moments that are just this amount of stupid that is supposed to be taken seriously.
Yeah, so the writing is just stupid. Whoever came up with the theme, Spock's gonna lose his brain but not be dead, and I can't. So, the second episode that kind of made the list in this spot was All Our Yesterdays, and this also focuses on a Spock moment. So, it's writing for me in this episode. I like the fact that Spock has to deal with his more aggressive emotions, but I totally do not buy into the plot that it's because they're so many years in the past that Vulcans hadn't developed their logic, and therefore he becomes barbaric and immediately falls in love with this woman. So, for those 2 reasons, and I'm not saying Spock's brain across the board is very stupid.
Yeah.
All Our Yesterdays it's kind of like a 2-fold plot episode, and one of those folds is very stupid.
I kind of like All of Our Yesterdays. I thought, the point about Spock immediately falling in love with this woman.
Yeah.
And that makes him kind of barbaric. That was stupid. But I kind of liked, the banter between Spock and McCoy.
Oh, absolutely.
And them having to deal with being in trouble without Kirk and worrying about Kirk.
So the conclusion I came to was the reasons that these episodes, that we can talk about these episodes is because of Leonard Nimoy. The man saves the day. Like, his acting as Spock, I'm sorry. Nobody else could have pulled off Spock's brain given that role. And then the fact that, you do have those character moments in All Our Yesterdays. If you didn't have that, like, McCoy and Spock being worried about each other, trying to get back, to the right time, worried about Kirk, that for me makes it a good episode. But the writing they give him with, like, what they gave him to work with, I feel so bad for Nimoy.
I completely agree.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so number 5, right? Number 5.
Yeah.
Number 5, here we go, the Paradise Syndrome. Like, you explained the problems with the plot itself. I'm gonna go a step back.
Yeah.
And explain why the very premise is stupid.
Yes.
Okay? The opening scene is thus. There is a planet, and an asteroid is going to hit the planet. The Enterprise is supposed to intercept that asteroid, but before they do that, they decide to explore the planet. And the entire problem is that they can't find Kirk because they have to go back and destroy the asteroid. And, like, this could all have been solved if you've just destroyed the asteroid first and then went to explore the planet. Like it's so dumb. Like, how did you not think about it? Like, first do the mission and then go exploring. How about that?
They were looking for answers on how to destroy the asteroid from the planet. No, I totally, honestly, there's no good reason. You nailed it right there. Why were they even there in the first place? Yeah.
Like, if you want to go there, do that after you destroy the asteroid, not before. Like, it makes no sense.
And then maybe you would have time to keep looking for Kirk, and you could help fix his little memory problem before he falls in love with somebody and
exactly,
and starts a whole new life.
Yeah. a lot of trauma could have been avoided if they just made better choices.
Oh gosh. Yeah, this episode has problems. It's very stupid.
Yeah. And that's, without even getting into the whole offensive part of it. Just like the entire premise is dumb from the get-go. It's so bad. So what is your number 5?
All right, my number 5, I think it was supposed to be clever, but I found it very stupid. It is the setup for the Mark of Gideon, which is about an overpopulation problem. So Kirk gets trapped on a fake Enterprise.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't know it's a fake Enterprise until he realizes he's being manipulated. But, and I won't even get into his falling for Odina right away.
Yeah.
The woman they send in there to basically catch his disease. or vegan choramingitis or whatever he had that. Well, anyway, so the whole thing's stupid. I just couldn't get over the fact that they had managed to recreate a fake Enterprise that fooled him. That was my first thing was, how does Kirk think this is real?
Yeah.
And then you see at one point where, he's with Odina and he's distracted by her beauty and they're kissing and there's like all of these like faces behind them in the window. I'm like, does he not even know they're not in space?
Yeah.
Kirk.
That is a good
oh
is
gosh.
a good point. Like, how?
How
were we fooled?
How? I mean, I could have totally bought into an episode. Overpopulation can be a problem. It could be something. I totally see it as an issue addressed by Star Trek and, what people try to do to resolve that. But, like, the setup for it, it's just, I didn't believe it. I don't know how Kirk believed it.
Yeah. I'm with you on this one. How was he so full? Like, we have all of these episodes making a point about how connected Kirk is to the Enterprise, and, like, he can't tell this is a fake one.
Yes, I totally agree. As infatuated as he is with his ship, married to his ship, he can't tell he's got a fake one. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a melodrama plot where they swap out the spouse with a fake, with like her twin, and the spouse can't tell the difference.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. My number 4. Okay. My number 4 is from the Galileo 7. This one is not so much the writers were stupid. I think most of the episode is kind of well written. It's just that certain characters act in such a stupid way that I don't understand what they were thinking. As you know, the Galileo 7 is about, a shuttle getting stranded on a planet and Spock takes command. And he's commanding a crew of humans, and there is like this creature outside that is trying to kill them. And, well, some of the crew members die, and Spock doesn't want to give them like a burial on the planet because there is a monster outside trying to kill the people. And they all the humans on the shuttle give him such a hard time for it. Like, but it makes sense. Like, why would you want to do that? Like, you can deal with them later. There's a monster here. Just why?
I'm totally with you. I felt bad for Spock because I thought he was being, rational. Like, first off, you can't have their extra weight on the shuttle. We find that out. But yeah, you're not going to stop to hold a funeral with somebody throwing spears at you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what do you want from me? And they all make this point about how he's doing it because he doesn't understand people, he doesn't understand emotion. But like, no, he understands that your life is more important than doing that right now.
I mean, have you ever seen Kirk to stop and like help bury a dead guy in the middle of a fight?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly. It was just very, like, I was sitting there thinking, wow, those people are stupid.
Agreed. And it's not just like one of them either, it's all of them.
Yeah.
It's like the reason they have contention with Spock. What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one. So my number 4, you know how I talked about overall stupid episodes?
Yeah.
My number 4 is the alternative factor. Okay, I found the whole thing so stupid, it was like confusing.
Yeah.
The whole plot of Lazarus like trying to stop the bad guy from coming to the dimension is that it's himself, it's a version of himself from another universe that basically he says he could not live knowing that I lived. Just knowing that I existed, so he wants to destroy everything. What? Mm-hmm. And he goes on to say he's mad, but I'm like, surely he was not originally crazy like that. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, I have to say, there are 2 episodes of the original series that I watched the least, and I remember the least what goes on in them. It's this one, the alternative factor, and the Lights of Star, because not only are they poorly written, they're just very boring. Like, I can never get into them. And yeah, I totally believe you. I don't remember exactly what goes on in this episode.
Because it's so stupid, Soda. Like, why would you remember that? I mean, I had to go back and... I actually went back and, like, watch this episode to remember why I don't like it and why it's so stupid. And the sad thing is, it is about a race of people who wanted to prove that there's other universes out there, like parallel universes. And so they created something called an alternative warp. But the problem is they basically just boil it down to a chase scene between a guy and his doppelganger, and one of them's so insane he wants to get rid of a whole universe because he can't stand the fact that it exists.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I see. Yeah, it's very, very dumb.
It's very dumb.
Yeah.
It's like, Kirk, if you have to deal with that in your day job, I feel really bad for you because it's, having to deal with time travel is tough enough, but when you have people just show up because they're nutso and about to implode your universe, wow. You don't get paid enough for that.
Yeah. Okay. My number 3, right? My number 3. I'll be honest, I kind of debated where to put my number 2 and number 3 because they're stupid for different reasons, but they're both kind of moments that I'm like, wow, so stupid. But I think I settled finally that my number 3 is, like we talked about earlier, Spock's brain. That moment when McCoy and Spock show up on the planet with Spock sporting this stupid helmet, and McCoy has this little remote control with those sparkly buttons that are not labeled. I'm not sure how he remembers which button does what. And just he presses them and Spock moves, and it's super dramatic. It's such a dramatic moment. but Spock is there with the stupid helmet and this stupid green suit, and McCoy is moving him with this remote, and there's this dramatic music and dramatic close-up, and it's like, how can I take this seriously? How am I supposed to take this seriously?
You're just not. I mean, first off, McCoy claims he doesn't have the medical knowledge to reattach a brain. Well, how did you have the medical knowledge to turn a brainless body into an android?
Yeah. He's not really an android, right? He's more of a remote controlled car. It's like, what?
Yeah, I did kind of equate it to a kid's toy. But yeah. I'm like, no, how do you even know how to do that?
Yeah.
You can't reattach a brain. I don't know. Yes.
Yeah.
It is another iconic scene though. Because when people want to talk about some people want to talk about how silly the original series can be, this is one of the scenes they throw out there. Besides the Gord fight.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Exactly. Though I will say there is, I think, one scene that tops it, but it's my number one, so we'll get to it. So what's your number 3?
Okay, number 3. There's really two reasons here why this is my number 3. So we know the ladies and Kirk, it's a thing, okay?
Yeah.
But surprisingly, you have this is Alana of Troyes, okay? You have this woman who is basically about to go through a political marriage. Nobody thinks to tell Kirk to tell him that these women have these pheromone tears that can enslave somebody, make them fall in love with them. And in fact, we don't learn this except for the ambassador just gives us a throwaway. Oh, she turns men into puppets, right before we see her breaking into tears, and then Kirk touching her tears and becoming her love slave. That in of itself is cringeworthy enough, but McCoy is desperate. How do we make Kirk not be in love with her? He eventually develops this cure for it or treatment, and it's not needed because guess what? He just got over it. It's so stupid. It's
because he's so in love with the ship.
Because he's so in love with the ship. Because Spock is well, I guess it's because the Enterprise is his number one lady. I'm like, what? I mean, first off, I was screaming. I was at the screen, I was like, no, why would nobody tell him? Why would nobody even think to do their research on these other races that they're going to be housing to see, what is potentially hazardous or dangerous or harmful to the crew? Anyway, that aside, what a cop-out. What a cop-out for an ending. Kirk just got over it himself. I mean, I know he's
I mean, it's really weird because it's a plot point that is introduced 5 minutes before the end.
It is,
and then it's just kind of discarded. It happened, but it doesn't matter, so who cares?
Exactly. It's just it's like slapping a Band-Aid on the last plot thread. Oh, how did he, regain control of himself? He just did. He's good that.
Yeah, he just did.
He just did. That is the stupidest thing about this.
It's just a drama that lasted all of 2 minutes. He just got over it. Never mind.
Yeah. I think we've seen them make the point that Kirk battling internally or even externally with his doppelganger, battling to have an internal battle, right? But we don't even get to see that. I've got no more to say about that. What a terrible ending.
It's a terrible episode of a terrible ending. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So what's your number 2, Soda?
My number 2. Okay, my number 2 is kind of an interesting one. So, season 2, episode 9, I think, Metamorphosis. the plot of the episode is that Kirk, Spock, and McCoy are on a shuttle moving Commissioner Hedford, this woman who is supposed to prevent a war. She was being shipped to this planet that is about to have a war break on it, but then she contacted some disease, some really rare disease, and now she has to be flown very quickly to the Enterprise to cure her. They get intercepted by this planet, and they meet, the guy who invented the warp core, and they meet this weird alien who falls in love with him but needs a body, and the commissioner ends up dying, and the alien takes over her body. Blah blah. Yeah, that's the episode. The stupid moment comes at the end, the very end of the episode, the last scene of the episode, where Kirk, Spock, and McCoy get to go home or back to the ship.
Yeah.
And then McCoy is like, wait, what about the war she was supposed to prevent? And Kirk is like, oh, they'll find someone else. What? What? This was such a stupid moment. Oh my god. How did, what?
Hand wave. Oh, that important diplomatic mission, prevent a war, whatever. They'll figure it out.
Imagine maybe there's a war out there because the stupid alien took over her body. But what?
I'm sorry, but what's your job again? Starfleet?
Yeah.
Brokering
Shouldn't you
peace
care
treaties?
about this? Yeah. Shouldn't you care about this?
Oh gosh, I had forgotten that last comment. That is a good one. That really does make it top of the list. Talk about endings that just shrug, whatever. I mean, we've seen them laugh off a lot of things, but a war?
I mean, they're not even laughing it off. Kirk is just completely deadpan saying, they'll find someone else to take care of it. Let's go. What? What?
Maybe he's had his quota for adventure for the day.
Maybe. Maybe.
Oh, God. That is a really good one, Soda. Okay,
Yeah.
Number 2. Okay, so stupid it's offensive.
Yeah.
So, during this time period, there's a Cold War going on. Okay?
Oh, yeah. I think I know which episode you're
There's
going
a Cold
for.
War going on between America and Russia and China. And there's this whole episode, the Omega Glory.
Yeah.
Which, let me say, could have been a really good use of, it had a good point about the Prime Directive and what happens when a captain gets stranded on a planet and breaks the Prime Directive because he's discovered that, one race on the planet has figured out, longevity or immortality or whatever. But the two races that are in a war are the Yangs, which are the Yankees, and the Combs, which are supposedly the communist.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
could it be more stupid in how they stereotype the Combs? They make them look like some really stereotypical, Mongols, rushing the China Wall or something. It's terrible. But what's worse than the stereotyping going on here, Kirk figures out how to communicate with these people through the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then later revealing that their most sacred document is the American Constitution.
Yeah.
Their whole explanation for, the Yangs, which are should be the winners of let's say the Civil War or whatever is going on, represent America.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those really legendary, stupid episodes.
It really is so stupid that I remember the first time I was like, is he reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I don't even remember the Pledge of Allegiance. We had to stand up in class and do that in elementary school, but That's not even... and don't get me wrong, Soda, I am patriotic, but I do not think there's an entire world out there of paralleling Earth that is about the Cold War. So I thought it was a really dumb use of parallel worlds, because we've seen Earth-like civilizations, right?
Yeah.
Before in other episodes, but why the episode had to be about this is so stupid.
They tried to make some commentary about the Cold War in several episodes, and I don't think all of them are kind of bad.
I think it just comes off making it look not patriotic, but just really making, I don't know, even just Americans look like super arrogant.
Yeah, maybe.
Egotistical, almost, because, yeah. Again, and also, half of it is the portrayal of the Combs. It's these, like, stereotypical, like, Neanderthal Asians. Woo. Woo. They just never really explain, other than to say it's a parallel world and things went wrong. Yeah. But, in parallel worlds, we redevelop the Pledge of Allegiance all the time.
Obviously.
Obviously.
And
because, to me, there's a difference between a parallel world and a copycat world with the same individuals who will create, recreate countries and sign the Constitution and write it the same way. And oh my gosh, like, really? Wow.
I agree. Like I said, it's one of those episodes that is legendarily stupid.
And so I can't just pick out a whole moment that it's stupid, because it's all stupid.
But probably Kirk reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
It's the stupidest, yeah.
Yeah.
They're all just like in awe. Oh my gosh, she's speaking the words of God or something. No.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, no, let's not go there. The holy words.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah. For my number one, I also picked an episode that is legendary in how stupid it is. Like, when you think about terrible, stupid, ridiculous Star Trek episodes of the original series, what episodes come to your mind? Like, you probably think, Spock's brain, which, he deserves it, and the Omega Glory.
Yes.
And Turnabout Intruder. But one episode that I think everyone can agree is really, really, really stupid, and it comes up a lot because the premise, it's so ridiculous. The Savage Curtains.
Whew.
Abraham Lincoln in space. just that opening scene of just them like looking out of the view screen and seeing Abraham Lincoln, not in a spaceship even, or in a spacesuit, just Abraham Lincoln on a chair in space, talking to them. I can't explain the levels of stupid this reaches. I can't think of anything that tops it. That's why it's my number one. It's just what could top it?
Nothing. It's also my number one, Soda.
Yeah.
I mean, let's have a fist fight between the most famous leaders of Earth history. Abraham Lincoln. Oh, look, now we have on the bad side Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
And we have, Sirac for the Vulcans. It's almost like the stupidest wrestling match ever.
Yeah,
but yes, like the floating chair, just floating. I'd rather see the green space hand.
Yeah, me too. Like, it's less ridiculous.
It's less ridiculous than Abraham Lincoln floating on a chair in the whole space. But they try to make it palatable. They're just, let's have Sirac there and Spock, be fascinated, or I don't get it.
Yeah. don't know. They had a spare Abraham Lincoln costume in the back, and they said, "Oh, we have to do something with it." Just like, why? Why did you think about this?
I mean, they regurgitated the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
In the Omega Glory, so why wouldn't they put Abraham Lincoln in space? Yeah. Power to America, I guess. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous.
Can I give you some of my honorable mentions?
Sure, of course.
Because I told you I had a long list, right? The one that it didn't make the list, but it probably should have. Because it checked a lot of boxes, is Wolf in the Fold. We want to talk about a stupid episode, Soda.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, the premise is, Scotty gets framed for murder of multiple women. And he insists that he as you do, you go to a pleasure planet and suddenly you're a serial killer of women. Because you keep blacking out and then have like the murder weapon in your hands or whatever.
As you do,
As you do. And then, of course, the villain is actually a space entity that was once Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't quite know how to put this, except this is like one of the most offensive episodes to women. The stupidest part for Wolf in the Fold, for me, is the comment that Spock makes about women. So he says women are easier to scare because they're women.
Yeah.
And that's why they're targeted by the space entity.
Listen, there are so many misogynistic lines thrown away like this in the show. Like, I mean, there is a moment in like The Enemy Within, I think, where after Evil Kirk assaults Janice Rand, and she goes to Spock, she tells it to Spock, and Spock is like, "But you liked it," and I'm like, "What?"
Exactly.
It's just I wouldn't call it a stupid moment because it's not stupid. It's just hateful and sexist.
It is. It's stupid. I can't. It's very misogynistic, and it just is not. It is not something you would expect of the character that they show Spock to be.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned the episode Ellen of Troyes, which is entirely like the most sexist episode in the entire show, probably.
Yes.
And that was supposed to be the episodes that convinces more women to watch the show.
No. I just don't ever think Spock, in his rational mind, could say something like that. And so it makes no sense. What evidence is there to support that? I'm sorry. That is not a comment that should have ever come out of his mouth. So, to me, it's extremely stupid. But the whole episode is stupid because the villain is stupid. Oh, and by the way, you know how they defeat the villain, Soda? They drug everybody.
Of course, yeah.
Because the entity's not going to take over somebody who's basically on like sedatives.
I think they just drug everybody with a laughing gas or something. Right?
Yeah, they do something like that. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like, in the vein that they took the Abraham Lincoln costume and made an episode out of it. It's like they took the most notorious serial killer in history, Jack the Ripper, and decided to do an episode.
Yeah. When you mentioned honorable mentions, I nearly put a scene from Ellen of Troyes here too, because it is like one of the worst episodes, like my least favorite episode is the Paradise Syndrome, but Ellen of Troyes is like a close second.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's also so hateful and bad.
Yes.
Just plain bad. And there is this throwaway line of Kirk. Kirk, the most respectful person, usually is so respectful to women. He's so
mm-hmm.
He's a good guy, but like there's this line here where he tells Spock Spock, the women on your planet are logical. That's the only planet that can claim that. And I'm like, what? What? Okay. And of course there is a scene where he threatens to spank the princess.
Oh, yes.
And she falls in love with him, yeah? You're right, yeah.
Like, no, well, geez, Kirk, if that's the way you think, no wonder your relationships have failed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those character moments that is so stupid because it doesn't even fit the character.
Exactly.
You mentioned a private little war.
Yeah.
I had this on my list at first, and I decided it was forgivable, but it's the whole, like, hand-wavy, like, voodoo ritual that Nona does on Kirk when he is poisoned from the Mugato. And she basically looks over at him and goes, oh, he's under my power now. He's under my spell. So she puts him under a love spell. It's not first, I guess. Okay. Kirk gets put under a love spell. Like every other episode, I guess. It's just such a throwaway, like, unexpected thing that she's decided to ensorcel Kirk as she heals him with her, like, it's basically like voodoo. She voodooed him.
Pretty much. The episode is also one of those Cold War analogies, and it also doesn't work very well. It has a lot of stupid moments too. Absolutely. From Spock's brain, I was kind of wondering if I should. I was kind of debating which scene I should put. Where we reveal Spock's mind control device, or the most famous scene, Brain and Brain. What is brain?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, how can you watch that episode with a straight face?
Exactly. Absolutely. Like, what? Every time they say the word Spock's brain in the episode, I laugh because it's so ridiculous. Any more honorable mentions?
Oh yeah. This is another, like, I decided it was, again, forgivable, but it's one of those resolutions to one of the, like, the chronic problem they're having. In this case, everybody is aging in the deadly years, and they're trying to figure out how to reverse this before they all die of old age. And it turns out Chekhov's the only one who's not aging, and it's because he was so shocked or scared by that McCoy somehow figures out that adrenaline is the key to fixing their problem. I have just never heard of a stupider medical solution, because he goes on to say that, like, adrenaline had been, like, a possible treatment for radiation sickness. I'm like, dude, then everybody would just be, like, jumping out of planes or cliff diving or, keeping their adrenaline high. Like, it would be such an amazing solution to all your sickness. So, I always kind of found the Deadly Years to be a stupid episode, but there was nothing more stupid than, like, I mean, of course he's going to come up with some concoction that fixes them, but why did it have to be, like, adrenaline?
The writers on the show weren't very knowledgeable in actual science. Like, I understand why you found this forgivable, because we know they don't know anything, but it is stupid.
It's so stupid. Okay, so everything about shore leave is forgivable.
Yeah,
But it is,
yeah,
boy, is it is stupid, because I never quite understood how McCoy could have got stabbed on the planet with the lance, and then, like, the planet put him back together and he's alive again. I just, what?
yeah. I just don't question it. It's one of those episodes, like I said, like a piece of the action. It's stupid, but it's supposed to be kind
Yeah.
of stupid.
But actually, having your chief medical officer die is kind of terrifying. And so it's a really stupid way to explain how he's revived.
Yeah.
I mean, there's usually a lot of trauma that goes on with being stabbed in the gut.
Yeah.
But I guess he just got fixed by the planet. Good for him, because we keep him around a little longer, right?
Yeah.
But every other, it was a very silly, stupid episode, except for that one, like, terrifying moment where they thought he was dead. I just didn't buy it, how he came back. So, forgivable. Okay.
Forgivable. Yeah, it's forgivable.
And then there was one more.
Yeah.
Okay. Spectra of the gun.
No.
First off, every time Chekhov, like, blows his lid, hot-headed Chekhov and his women, like, what? How in the world? You're in this, like, reenactment of the OK Corral shootout at the OK Corral.
When I think about it, like, it's so ridiculous and random that this one esoteric case of the Wild West that, like, most people don't know about that. No one, who knows what the OK Corral was?
They probably got to shoot for free at like one of the Wild West sets in Hollywood.
No, yeah, I totally understand why it happened from, like, the production side,
Yeah.
but, like, this random aliens that they meet in the middle of nowhere for some reason know of this one really esoteric like, occurrence in the Wild West part of history of America, and it's like, what? Why?
I mean, here's the thing. They realize where they are. I'm like, wow, you guys know your history. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And they know they're on the losing side. And then, of course, Chekhov, as we know, just like, as one does, just becomes so attached to this one woman, he gets himself shot. Like,
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder, is it his youth, or, like, does Kirk just need to put him on a leash?
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about this, Soda, but I was always thought it was super sketchy how Spock solved their problem. Because, it's just another one of those weird things about the mind meld. Because apparently, Spock can make everybody have his conviction that none of it's real. And all he has to do is implant the idea in their head. And then they don't get, they don't actually die from the bullet wounds.
Yeah. Like, honestly, I kind of think, like, they had no idea. Like, they kind of made things up on the spot when it came to Spock's power. Yeah. Like, they didn't really think about it.
I'm going to tell you what. My suspicion is they backed themselves into a corner with the episode and couldn't figure out how to get them out of it. And so they invented a new faucet to Spock's abilities.
It's possible.
Yeah. Because I'm like, okay, now you've stuck these guys in a losing situation. The poor people who are not real, but, apparently can actually kill you, like Chekhov. How do you get out of it? So the solution was just kind of like, okay. I get, okay. It's forgivable.
Yeah. I mean, I think I kind of like the message of the episode at the end of it, like, mind over matter and all that stuff. But like, it was one of those episodes that was very clearly made because they had zero budget.
Yeah.
And they just kind of tried to do something with what they had already so they don't have to pay extra for it. So yeah.
And the other good message in there was the whole reason like the Melachitoans would finally negotiate with them is because Kirk refused to kill.
Yeah.
And I think that sends a pretty powerful message about what Starfleet and the Federation stand for, trying to be non-violent. So that was good as well, but I'm with you. Yeah. Low budget.
Low budget. That's the main reason it exists.
I know we decided not to include the Star Trek original series movies. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we have to talk about the one scene in the motion picture.
Okay.
You want to talk about stupid. How stupid is it to bore your audience with like 10 minutes of a shuttle ride to the Enterprise from every vantage point?
Yeah, I mean that scene existed for the opposite reason of the episode. They had they invested so much money in those special effects. They were like, you're going to sit there, you're going to watch them, and you're going to like it.
Exactly. Really, it's just wasteful. It's wasteful minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it wastes time so much.
Because at first you're just like, oh, okay, great. Looking at the Enterprise, you feel everybody's emotion, and then it just keeps going and going and going
and going. Yeah.
And then you really start to lose people. Because then they're worried, like, what is the rest of this movie going to be like? If they did this.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about stupid in movies, in Star Trek movies, like the fifth one is basically the Spock's brain of the movies, right?
Yes.
That's what it is. Like, oh no, someone let Shatner cut loose. Look what he did. Yeah, it's just, where do I even begin with this one? The fan dancing, the Scotty getting his head constantly stuck in the ship, Sulu and Chekhov getting lost on Earth. Like, where do we even begin? It's just, it has cute moments, but the entire movie, like, vast majority of it is really, really stupid.
Okay, but like the camping scene,
and
the rocket boosters, like
there are three redeeming scenes. The opening scene in the camping, the last scene which is also camping, and in McCoy dealing with his father. Those are the three good scenes. The rest of the movie is just dumb.
Do you like how God was like the biggest, like whitest, like whitest God you've ever seen out in the middle of space?
Yeah,
or past the barrier. I just went, is he supposed to look like Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I love that movie only for the triumvirate moments.
Exactly. There's no other reason to love it.
You're right. They're really, everything else is just... Sadly, one of Uhura's most famous moments, besides the kiss in the original series, is the fan dance in the movies.
Yeah. It's really a shame.
Yeah.
Well, I think those are the stupid moments.
There are more.
There are more. There are probably a lot more. Yeah. But those are the ones we decided to highlight this episode.
Obviously, Soda and I really enjoyed putting together our top 10 list.
Yeah.
As Soda says, there's certainly more stupid moments out there. Feel free to share the ones you think are stupid about the original series. And we'll be back next time with a new podcast.
Stay tuned. Bye.